All right. Well, today in our series of interviews, we have Brent Ackland, who is the founder and owner of Northern SUP Canada. And he's also a distributor for Infinity SUP Canada, as well as the director of education for PaddleFit. So, Brent, welcome. We're so excited to have you today and look forward to getting to the nitty gritty here.
Thanks for having me. It's going to be a fun day.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, I would love for you to share with the listeners just a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background and what got you into the whole SUP biz.
Sure. Happy to. So yeah, as you said, my name is Brent Ackland. I founded Northern Stand-Up Paddle, and this is the 11th year now. And it kind of came from me just kind of being sick and tired of doing what I was doing, which was partner in a financial planning firm. So was reading a few books back in the late 2000s and stumbled upon stand-up paddleboarding, and then went to visit my parents in Florida, and that's when I ran into Brody Welty of PaddleFit fame. He was the closest person to where my parents were, so I messaged him and said, "Hey, I'd like to try this out." And so he said, "Give him a call." I called him when we got down there, and we ended up spending 2 hours in a Starbucks because it was kind of raining, and we never paddled. But Brody told me all about what he was doing, and he had just done a PaddleFit certification, and so he's like, "You got to come back down, do this." So the next month after, I went and got certified, and then sort of opened my business up here with lessons and rentals after taking the certification, and it just kind of grew from there. We went with lessons and rentals for the first couple of years, and I did the financial planning on the side, I guess, or the other way around. And then I decided that I didn't really want to do this for 20 years. So my partner bought me out of the financial planning firm. I started to go on the distribution side, selling product, because I realized kind of early on that up here in Canada, 2 or 3 months a year for the busyness of the rentals and lessons isn't really going to give you a full-time job. So
Yes.
I've distributed for a few companies, best one being Infinity that I've been with now for about 5 years. So I distribute across Canada with them. I still teach PaddleFit certifications for Brody as needed, kind of around Canada, United States. And then I've got my lesson rental and classes and socials here in Barrie all summer long. Busiest months, June, July, and August up here for all lessons.
Yeah, pretty much the same here too. In terms of the busyness, we have pretty much the same weather. So
Yeah, pretty close.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's really fun to hear because I don't think I ever heard that full story of how you and Brody met. So that's really
Oh, really?
awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. And I'll be interviewing Brody at some point as well. So that's great. Yeah, and so yeah, your first, I mean, what a cool first experience too, to be with such an expert
Right?
paddle master. I mean, gosh, yeah. I mean, for your first experience, that had to be so fantastic. And so yeah, and paddling on the ocean for the first time too.
Well, the funny thing is we
So
didn't actually paddle the
okay.
first time. Where he's like, "You don't want to go out in this. It's rainy and it's cold." And I'm like, "I'm from Canada, dude. It's like, you know,
It's like
70 degrees down here. We're going." He goes, "No, no, no." So we just sat and talked for 2 hours, and he told me about what he was doing and PaddleFit and all that. And then I ended up coming back down. I guess it was maybe a month after that, and took his second PaddleFit course. And then it was on the ocean and paddling and kind of learned from him there, which was cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you guys paddle like in a harbor, or were you guys right on the hitting the waves?
No, we were in Clearwater Beach on one of the intercoastals.
Okay.
We
Okay.
didn't go out
Nice.
into the Gulf that time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the intercoastals are nice. They're pretty calm, and I have my uncle lives off the
Yeah,
intercoastal.
for the most part, you can go in there and kind of get out of like a lot of the ocean chop for a lot of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Well, great. That's awesome. I learned something new about you.
And I think that was
Good
about
stuff.
11 years ago when that happened. Maybe
Wow.
at least 11 because I've had the business for 11.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, okay, so you said that you've been doing that with your business for about 11 years. So what's your favorite thing about your business? What's your favorite thing about it?
It's kind of introducing new people to the sport and getting them the right stuff, the right gear, because the business has exploded over the last 10 years or so. We've had so many companies come in and so many companies leave as well. And the biggest thing I find is people don't really understand that paddle boards are as varied as cars, right? If someone
Yes.
comes to me and says, "Oh, I want a red car," and I stick them in my truck, and they were really looking for a Corvette, they're going to be like, "What's going on?" And the boards are so different that way that my funnest part is getting somebody something that I know they're going to be happy with for like the rest of their paddling career, basically, and
Yeah.
teaching them how to paddle.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's so true. It's matching people to the right, like for their paddling needs and
Yeah.
getting that. So I love that.
And a lot of them don't
I
even
really
know what they need. They just want to paddle, and it's like, you have a couple conversations with people, and they've gone out and bought something that they saw, and they're like, "Well, this doesn't even work for what I want to do it, what I want to do with it." And so I really like that kind of whole. Let me teach you about this sport and all the cool things you can do with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and especially they're so costly. Like, it's such a big investment and you want
Right.
to get what you want for your money. So
Spend a
that's
little more in
amazing.
the
I love it.
beginning, I always say, to avoid spending a whole lot 3 times.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. That's fantastic. Um so So yeah, I mean you've been doing the repping for subs and paddles and so you said with the business, like, our business is very seasonal, so to kind of have a little more year-round aspect to it, you began distributing. What does that mean? What does that mean that you distribute?
So basically, I'm the Canadian point of contact for Infinity SUP. When you're the distributor, you are the one that I guess goes out on the limb and orders the huge quantities of boards, brings them into a central warehouse location, and then I have dealers throughout Canada, and so I sell to the dealers.
Okay,
Which
fantastic.
is
So a
really,
lot of them are the brick and mortar spots where people go and buy their boards, and then you sell direct as well, right, Brent?
yeah. I have like a kind of like my own shop right here in Barrie where I do sell right to retail, and then we've got like shops all across Canada from Vancouver and Kelowna and Edmonton. Really, I don't have anything in Saskatchewan or Winnipeg, but other than that, we've got stuff Halifax, coast to coast.
Fantastic. So if people well, let me ask you, yeah, I'll ask that in a minute. Let me ask you, like, what about Infinity? Like, what attracted you to Infinity brand boards, and what makes you think that those are the best choice, I guess, for board?
Um, Good question. A couple of things actually. So early on in my career, I was with a couple other companies, and it doesn't matter who they were. Um, and a lot of people bring in sub quality products because it's very easy to go, and I could go put Northern SUP on any board right now, have it made in China and sent over here, and bing bang boom, you got a paddle board that looks like it's yours. But then you look for companies that I have been with and had some good success with, like a company like Jimmy Lewis. I used to be with Jimmy Lewis. They've been around since 1968. They've been making surfboards, they've been making windsurfers and all that kind of stuff. So they've been in the game before the explosion. And then Infinity is another one that they've been around since 1970. Dave's father started out making boards in his shop in California. They made skateboards. They were one of the early people that made a stand-up paddleboard because Dave's dad and mom were champion tandem surfers. So they were already making some of the bigger boards. And when Dave's dad, Steve, saw somebody had something, he's like, "Oh, I could do that." And she already had the big pieces of foam to make these 12, 14-foot boards sort of thing. And it's just, they've all gone into one of the number one factories that has also been around since the kind of late 70s in Vietnam. And so they have a great history of the workers there because every board is made by hand, regardless of
Wow.
whether it's a $500 board or a $5,000 board. It still starts out and been made by hand. When you have this explosion of the sport, you have so many other new factories popping up, and they're just grabbing people off the street to make these boards. Well, if you go with a
Wow.
factory that's been making boards for 40, 50 years, and they've gone through the quality control and they have the best products to make their boards with. And then you have the pedigree of the people that are on the water, like Dave and his family. Like they're as California as it gets. They, started surfing at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old with all their kids. The 3 generations go surfing, so they're actually using their equipment. So those are the two
Yes.
big things right there. Is one, they're all using the equipment, and two, they've been around forever. So when the fad dies out, as they all do, everything has a cycle to it. They're still
Yes.
going to be around making boards for people to enjoy.
Yes, I love that. And I love, well, and looking on their site, they have some vintage pictures on their website, and it's so fun to see that. I love it. Um
Wait
and
till you
and
go to
that's
the
so
shop.
good to,
I think you're going out to the shop.
yeah.
That's like, it's a California shop that's been there forever.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Um so yeah, so I think that's such an important thing to point out, is like the word that came to my mind as you were talking about it was craftsmanship. Like that,
Right.
it just, thinking about those workers who have been dedicated to that craft
Yep.
for years. That's so amazing to hear, and to know that you're getting a quality product. And I feel like Infinity, they have such, I mean, for the quality of their boards, they have such amazing prices.
Right.
Like, I mean, they could probably charge more for their boards than they do. I mean, but I think I don't know, from what I've gathered from just hearing Dave talk in some interviews and stuff, it's just like they're so passionate about it. They just want to get their boards out to people.
That's it.
And
That's really, and that's the other thing that I love too. Like when you go out to California to the head office, when we have our meetings and stuff, it's like you're part of the family. It's not like you're in a corporation. There's some other great brands out there that are big worldwide brands that make some quality product as well, but you don't get that feel of like you're part of everything that they're doing. And we all need to make money. I get it, but like you don't need to like price your stuff crazy just because it's a good product. Like they've said, this is what we do. We're good at doing this. Here's our price point, and this is what we're doing. We're never going to sell the most boards, but we're going to sell top quality of everything. And that's
yes,
another reason why I decided very early on to go with the certain brands that I have gone with, is because branding to me is something that's super important. And I decided that my brand, whether you're coming to me for a lesson, a rental, or to buy a product, it's going to be top of the line for everything. I can do things a lot cheaper. I can put you on a cheaper board to learn how to paddle. I can sell you a cheaper board, but that's kind of like going into, your Mercedes dealer and saying, I want a car for 10,000. Well, you're going to Mercedes. It's the quality, it's the finish, it's that kind of thing. That's what I decided a long time ago that Northern SUP was going to be. So whatever companies that I do go with have to be that quality company, the craftsmanship, the history, and a reason that like I'm never going to have someone that's going to come and complain my product was crap, and they're going to avoid as many
yes,
or any negative reviews if you always offer top quality. Was sort of something
yes.
that I learned within the first couple of years of doing this.
That's awesome. And I think that's a great principle to live by. That's kind of something my dad taught me when I was growing up, was, it's better to pay more in the short run to get quality, and because it's going to last you and it's going to do well for you in the long run. And I think that's a great thing to have, and for customer experience and satisfaction. It's just such a different experience paddling on a quality board and with a quality paddle.
It's a different sport.
Yes, completely. So I love that. Um, and okay, so like, let's say somebody comes to you and they want to start a paddle business.
Mhm.
And they said, and I just think of you as such a great mentoring person. You just have such a gift for that, Brent. So what are like I know this is probably a hard narrowing down, but what would be like the top 5 tips or advice that you would give someone who's looking to start a paddle business?
Number one tip, because I do get a lot of these calls, is to set yourself a budget. And from there, we're going to be able to show you where you can go. So I've had people call me up like, hey, I got $5,000. I want to set up a business. I'm like, you're not going to do it, because you want to invest in your equipment, your training, and your permits and insurance. And it's really a lot more to it than just, hey, I want to do this and grabbing a couple boards and taking people out. So I guess maybe there was a few points in there. First one would be get certified, know what you're doing, and understand what you're about to get into would be the first. Second, I guess, would be maybe set a budget after kind of understanding what your needs and are going to be, and then just kind of go from there. I don't know if I would have five. I would sit down and probably talk about those first and say learn about what someone's goals are. Like, do they want to just be um, an instructor? Do you want to do sales? Some people hate sales, so
Yeah.
it's kind of really figuring out like what do you want to do in the business and understanding once you've made those choices how many spokes you have in your wheel and how easy that's going to turn every year, whether it's going to be a seasonal, all year round, sales, lessons, rentals, instruction. There's so many more facets to it than people just look, oh, that guy's going paddleboarding. It's like, off you go.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you're coming to this business with a financial background. That is not my forte or my background. So you've been amazing and helpful to me in that regard. Because yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people that I'm like a kind of go for it, go getter, spontaneous gal. Like if I decide to do something, I'm going to do it. And I am the get certified, get prepared, like get your training kind of person, and prepare myself. But at the same time, sometimes I kind of dive in and plug my nose.
That's good. Yeah.
And dive in the water. But well, it's good some ways. In some ways, it's kind
Well,
of
you keep going. As long as you keep going,
throwing caution to the wind. Yeah. You've got to accept that sometimes you might fail in some ways doing that too. But so I've been thankful to have you kind of to walk me through some things here and there. But yeah, and I think that's also so good to think about, especially I think one of the things that I've learned just even in the paddling, the coaching aspect is just, I mean, even learning like the rules and the respect for the water, like and the rules with even like PFDs and all that, because obviously laws are different everywhere. And just even knowing that minutia of it, it's like, I mean, there's a lot to kind of know and the legalities and liabilities and all that kind of stuff behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
That you have to learn. But I guess the most important thing that we want is for our customers to, like you said, have a great experience and then have safety first, obviously, and fun while we're being safe. Yeah. So I guess I had a question in my mind, but I think it went out. Oh, yes, it came back to me. So where can if people want to visit Northern SUP in Barrie, Ontario, Canada, where would they find you? Where would they come to paddle with you?
Probably the best way to do that would be to reach out through the website and just send me an email, brent@northernsup.com. We have a great permit to use this beach. It's in Innisfil, it's Innisfil and Barrie are like right beside each other. So it's really about 10 minutes down the road, but you're not in the city. You're a little bit out where people have cottages. A lot of people I take out paddling there. It's almost like you're paddling in Florida. It's nice, clear water, sandy beach, big, huge, 3-4 mile bays that are often protected from most of the prevailing winds. So yeah, the best way to do it, reach out, send me an email, and then we'll set you up, whether it's we don't have rentals this year for COVID, unfortunately, but we can always get you out if you're passing through town. I always like to paddle, so I'll take you out.
Awesome. So that is Brent at northernsup.com. Is that correct, Brent?
That's correct.
And so the website is northernsup.com.
Yep.
And I'll put that in the comments as well. And yeah, anything else you'd like to share about the paddle biz or stand-up paddling?
Go out, have fun if you can. To stress anything to anybody, there really is a learning curve to it, right? It doesn't paddle like a canoe. It doesn't paddle like a kayak. It's not like surfing. There's a lot of technique behind it. Take some lessons. It'll shorten your learning curve. Get some quality um, equipment. Talk to a few people before you buy. If you can try before you buy, you'll see the difference when you get out on the water. And we always have this saying that I like to have is people and water don't mix. So
I
if
love
you
it.
get instruction, it's going to really help you when you get out on the water.
Yes, absolutely agreed, 100%. And I can attest, he has a great location where he paddles,
You were there.
and
Yep,
it's wonderful, and it's a cute little town. For those in northern Michigan, it's kind of like Frankfurt. It's a cute little rural community, and it's great. It's lovely. And so well, thank you, Brent, so much for your time
Thanks
and
for
your
having me.
wisdom and expertise. I so appreciate it. And look forward to the day when we can cross the border again.
I know. I got to come and paddle with you guys again. Let me in. Please let me in.
I know. They're still like locked down. I'm so sorry, but
Close. I think we're really
still
close.
paddle.
Yeah, we can.
Well, thanks so much, Brent, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Take care. Talk to you soon, Holly.